Can you have an executable with pluses in it? I doubt it actually. I can't think of a better name at the moment. No. Seems to work. What? Is that the thing? Yeah. Global function in this, so I just need to link with libpixman. And there is a PC, pixman1. It's more like the Wayland dips. To use caps or to not use caps? No, it's nonsense. It's also used here. So now it's linking with Pixmin, which made that undefined thingy go away. This doesn't work anymore, I suppose. It does. No. Crash. Yes. As expected. Right. Yeah, the way arc thing itself. Yeah, in the end, I'll need everything from here, I guess. Even the thing that I left out, this one. My new hello world. Okay. Yeah, so I wrote it in the description of the video. Have a look at it, what I wrote. Oh yeah, I was going to rename Tiny W stuff to CPP instead of CXX. Did I even add that yet? No, I didn't. Move to CPP. I could commit this now, but I'm hesitating because I'm not even sure if I want to add this stuff. But yeah, commit often, right? Can always delete it again. More WIP is not possible. It's completely WIP. Okay. So what I want is to use my events library. I wrote start a branch new. I mean brand new, of course. Next I want to have an events server. Okay, so I want to write a server that is triggered by some WL signal. Let's concentrate on that. Hey, Corto. Okay, so that means I need to add my events library. Adding the events submodule to a project, simply execute this. Okay. In the root of the project. There it is, events. And then I'm not sure I want to the heck tiny WL directly. I would like to have a small little test thingy that I can play with. Should I not make a test directory then for that? Where I can put in tests. Yeah, eventually I'm going to need that anyway. Might as well do that now. How do other people do that? You have source and test, yeah. Yeah, why not? Okay, so we want to have a test directory then. I think I'll always call those things tests. Yeah, and then we need CMake list file in tests. I just really like to just copy stuff I already have instead of reinventing the wheel every time. I'm gonna go to this directory again. Let's have a look at this one. Loads and loads of tests. Stupid thing. Okay, this is a test. What are we going to do? Test events, right? Now I need a name. Probably need to link with the Wayland stuff as well, which I forgot how to do. this. Normally, apparently, it is put before the object list. That's why actually. Let's put it after it. Just copy. Could have copied the other file. What is it defined in the source directory? I probably should move that to the base, to the root directory then. Where the hell is it? Yips. What is this doing here? Well, I need it now, but still. Okay, that's weird. So I moved it to the root, and now I suppose the Wayland depth should also be known in tests. Hopefully. And it did. Is what do we include? Good question. It's just one header here. Vince.h. Okay, and then I want to have I want to have a server. which I'm going to put in its own header. And the name of the server is Signal Server. WL Signal Server was it even. Which means, of course, that we need to include w/signal server.h, which then must exist. And it's not including the source directory. Probably need to do that then. In test, include the source directory. Kind of sounds weird. Or no, maybe not. I don't know, man. Why can I not remember that? How that works? Okay, so we go from... I have lots of stuff there, I think. Examples. Include directory, yeah. My cursor is on it. Target include directory. Signal server, and that should then be the root directory /source. I don't know what the root directory is. CMake source there, or what is it? It does exist, and it has no current in it. What else could this be than the root, right? I just try it out. And that worked. Okay. Now we have to link this to a WL signal thingy. I have no idea how that works, to be honest, but let's just start with creating it. And of course we need to trigger this thing. The only thing I saw is how to add a client to it. To, let's say, add client to some event. That was something like WL add signal, I think. Or not. Signal add. Yeah, that could be it. Signal add, you have to pass a pointer to the WL signal and to the, I'm not gonna pronounce the WL anymore, I think. So you have to add a pointer to the signal and to the listener. The listener is then the one that is being added. So we need that one as well then. But that was not enough. I think in order for the listener to work, we need a callback. And I don't know how that was done, actually. That was done. Maybe I should just open in a second window here. Let's stay in here. So this one, go to source. Okay, I had signal add. So here's an example. This is the listener, and you have to say listener.notify is the callback before adding it. And this is then some callback. And the signature of that callback is this very C. It's a C function. Hell, I'm even going to do extern C around it. That's not what I was looking for. Let's try another one. Keyboard handle to store. Blah blah does not exist. Okay, it's probably helpful if I do a maxi text here again. There it is, and the thing is way bigger than I thought. No, I need a mic. No, this is just not it. Come on, we need a callback. Needs to take a listener as the first argument. Shouldn't it? Yeah, that's what I expected. I'm slightly confused that we also have callback functions that have apparently different arguments. See or not, I can't stand that. Okay, so this should be the registration of my listener with the some event, but now we still have to trigger the event. And I have no idea how to do that. Let's just look at W signal. It doesn't tell much. Signals are recognized points where significant events can be observed. Compositor as well as the server can provide signals. Observers are WL listeners that are added through signal add. Signals are emitted using that was I looking for. WL signal emit, and I pronounce it again. Signal emit, which will invoke all listeners until that listener is removed with list remove, or whenever the signal is destroyed. Okay, let's just do the emit first. No, looks simple enough. You pass a pointer to the signal and the data. Oh, lists have to be initialized, and we didn't do that. So where are the lists that have to be initialized? I guess these things, right? The signal is a list. So I have some event dot listener list. I think that should work. It's just a member of the WL signal. Yeah. No, actually, it's done here. Aha. So I have to call on this, which then does it for me. It's even better. Saw that just in time. And then hopefully the listener has the same thing. Nope, they don't. Arg. There's actually documentation here. Oh, this is Wayland. Wayland writes documentation, of course. wlroots does not write documentation. Very annoying. A single listener of Wayland signals. Listener provides the means to listen for signal notification, maybe blah, blah, blah. Clients should create listener objects manually and can register them as listeners to signals using signal add, assuming the signal is directly accessible. For opaque structs like event loop, adding a listener should be done through provided accessor methods. A listener can only listen to one signal at a time. Your listener, notify callback methods. If you have direct access, you can do signal add. Accessor access. Add destroy listener. If the listener is part of a larger struct, container of can be used to retrieve a pointer to it. Yeah, no. So that's the whole problem. You cannot do that. If the struct is a C++ object. Well, seems that you don't have to do that. You don't have to add any initialization. Try it again. Entering some callback 4242. Guess it worked. Okay, now we have the signal. So I'm going to change this into we just have the signal. So in fact, it's so external, maybe I should... no, let's put it on the stack here, who cares. And now I want to create a signal server that uses, well, that is triggered by some event. I think we can just pause it, right? But let's say I'm not sure that it is initialized yet. So, okay, let's change my mind. Let's make this some external object. It's even global now, but whatever. And then I want to be able to create this from some event. And only then initialize that event. And it should still work. I don't need a listener, that's going to be part of my class. Okay. So the signal server has a constructor that takes a WL signal by reference without looking at it. And I think it needs to be a non-const reference, because you have to add signals to it and stuff. But I would do that later then. It's kind of a delayed initialization maybe. I can't do it in the constructor because the thing is not initialized yet. The constructor should only store a reference to the signal. Let's add a ref to it. Yeah, I think we are at the dead end now, so now I have to look at it from the other side. The side of my events event thing. That requires, and then we have to read the documentation of that first. That works as follows. Pretty minimal. I know there is a lot, maybe this with me. Okay, so the type is derived from data and is passed as an argument to the callback. That is what defines the event data class. Just the data that is being passed to the callback. Can also pass a cookie. We need access to the request function of that event server. Then we can add a callback. Request. And the trigger is simply done by calling trigger. This trigger passes an int, so you would say then, what about all those event data things? But I suppose they can just be created from an int. Yeah. So I think that my trigger is going to pass the data pointer, and then we need to we use the void pointer that we have, data, and that then will be morphed into whatever it actually is as a function of the template parameter. So we need a template parameter basically per what the data actually is pointing to. Let's have a look at. So, for example, in the case of this callback, data is treated as that. I guess that's my event data. Yeah, difficult. So let's create some arbitrary event data. For now, let's use a structure. And then if this happens, we're going to assume that data is actually an event data pointer. And then I'm just printing the contents. So the signal is emitted with this event data, which contains 42. And that should call the sum callback, which then interprets that void pointer again as an event data and prints it. Yep, so that works. Print 42. But that's still all C code. How do I hook that into this? Now I have this, my event data. You can make a type from that. Let's try to use this like literally instead. starts to become dangerous terrain. Just doing a C cast of a void pointer. But it happens to still work in this case. And then we simply print that thing. So now it prints my event data 42. So we can build from there. Now I can add the type to it. So now we have the event type. And then the callback takes the event type by reference. In this case anyway. So in the end I want to call this thing, or that should be called by my server. Yeah, so theoretically you would say, okay, in the C event, so the Wayland event thing is gonna call this thing. But we need that. I'm not so sure that the data that is being passed here can be even this. So what we really need here is that this thing is registered on a different server. And then we trigger that from here. Meaning that my data must be something that points to a server. Yeah, let's forget Wayland side for a moment. Let's implement the back end, as it were, or the front end. What is it? So I want to have a server with the event type. So we do this. So I had my event type, and I just create a server for that. And then register a callback by function pointer. Okay, so we can do this. So now the server is able to call my callback, which is this thing that we want to have eventually called. And well, if I really want to forget this for now, I just have to trigger the server, like right here. So these are all other things, and in the end we just need a trigger like that. Also passing 42, right? Yeah, and it protects me. I should have cancelled it before leaving main, apparently. But the callback happens, as you can see. Assertion, not my request, or blah blah is cancelled. I should have a long explanation what assert is. Oh, well, long is different, but call cancel before destructing anything that is needed for the callback. And that is the request, and then nobody gets this. Oh, the request handle is destructed, and it doesn't like it. That request is not cancelled. Very complex. I'm just gonna guess what that means. Let's do something that feels intuitively correct. So I think that before destructing anything, that would be before leaving main. We have to call some cancel on something. And here we are, events, request cancel. Request handle cancel. We have two cancels. Okay, let's have a closer look at this one here. Here, cancel is called. Cancel is simply called on the handle. Let's do that then. Handle one dot cancel. Yep. The error went away. Okay, so this does call my callback. But now I don't want to manually call trigger. I want this signal emit to call that trigger. Well, that means that I have to pass the event server, if you ask me. So instead of passing this event data, we are going to pass the event server here by pointer. No, that's not what is happening. That is not what is happening. What the hell, man? Data. The data that will be emitted with the signal. But I have no control over that. So what is emitted in? All right. If you ask, I think that the signal emit passes the same thing as you pass here to add, but then it would be different for every client, and that's not the case. Very confusing. So let's follow this pointer here. Signal add. Oh, that is a listener, sorry. But it's not that pointer, it's just a listener. Listener, insert, signal, listener, previous, listener link, whatever. Signal emit. No, I think the data depends on the signal itself. The type of the data depends on this signal here. And we don't have control over this. It's an external thing. But I was passing the signal already to my constructor, right? So I guess then that's the point where I also pass the type of the data, the underlying type. I need to find where this is called. Emit signal, signal emit. And it is not called from anywhere except from my own code. Going to need the Wayland source code. It's also not called from here. Where did that stupid mean? Why is test still printed here? I need one more thing here. Something to kick out the test. Yeah, false. I knew it. Brune false. I was almost typing that here. So that looks correct to me. Let's add this to image. Probably the other way around would make more sense. Swap the double quotes and single quotes. Nou ja. And it's not there. Why? Because I switched up and I didn't do a resource? No, it's just not there. I don't get it. It's just not there at all. Oh, it is, yeah. Oh, I haven't a dot. Oopsies. Yeah, that should be... let's just use the full path like I do there. And I forgot how it is called. Just Wayland. Now we have them. Okay. Should also be able to DS now. And literally nobody's calling it. Here's this defined. What? Impossible. Or is this the only place? Let's have a look. Remove and destroy resources. Well, it's at least one example. Resources elements. Yeah. This is unbelievable. But okay, don't give up, of course. I'm just going to have a look at this again. I mean, how on earth do they know that this data is that type? That must have to do with the event that the listener was registered with. So we look here, so this thing here, let me paste that here, so I can't forget it. It is added to the event request set cursor. And that has the comment, the type. And then we're just lucky. So here's another comment like it, and maybe that one too. But here is no comment. And here also not. And there they added it. And these, nobody knows what the type is that you have to cast. Let's try to figure it out. Let's say this one. So that signal is part of wlroots. Oh, that's why there is no comment. Oh, maybe they use emit mutable. So I was looking for a signal emit, but if they use mutable all over the place, that could be a reason that I couldn't find it. Anyway, this signal is being used here. Which means they pass a grep. That's the data here. So grep must be a pointer. Touch state. each touch state grab. So that way we can figure out what the pointer is. What the data is. It's a seed touch grab. And then see if that corresponds indeed with the callback. So somewhere else I should have a touch grab begin that we add the signal to. It was more like the begin, right? Arg. Okay, let's try this. Some event here is linked to a data pointer, and a data pointer has a type. Let's say this thing here has that comment, and the type is some external type, which means that this is the type that we have to cast the data to. That would be this one, right? So it's just not my event data. It's just not what it is. Pretend that this is external. Just give it some magic. Right, so now I need to know what the type is. And I cannot think of another way to register that than to just pass it together with the sum event. So we're going to need a signal server that knows what that data is, and which belongs to some event. And then we have a signal server for some event. And well, yeah, that should work. And let's do a late initialization. So by the time we are going to trigger it, I'm going to initialize it. Okay, so I think I don't want to do this. Well, not as a user anyway. And I'm not going to manually trigger my server. That should happen because of this trigger. But we can create well, this thing must be part of my signal server. So we don't have this either. And then the event server must be that signal server. I wanted to expose the request. And some listeners should also be hidden. I think the user code only does this. Well, ish. We have a signal server which will be triggered by some event being triggered, which is completely external signal thing, which is linked to the data. Well, this is the void pointer is actually this type. And we know that because some event is that. So maybe I should call, say, some events a little bit different, make it a little bit more clear. This is the XYZ event. And this is then the XYZ callback. Although you can add any callback, of course, but it is a XYZ callback. Meaning that the data here is actually XYZ. Okay, so signal server now must be a template. And it is accepting what shall I call it? I'll just call it data, I think. No, it's in all cases a struct. Let's just use type now. Yeah, we have to expose the request now on the XYZ signal server. It's probably very complex stuff. So like some multiple requests that are difficult templates. Request, 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 request. I don't want to repeat that. Huh? So, if possible, and it should probably the request thing should whatever. This is a member function of should be the base class of that thing, so we have access to it. And that is just an event server. That's this event server, basically. For some event type, could make it anything we want. I'm sorry, can I already wrap my head around what this type should be? My event type. That was the type that's going to be passed to the callback. I think I just want to pass this. Well, a pointer to that. Or is it a reference? I think that my event type is normally passed as a reference, right? Call back, yeah. Just pass as a reference everywhere. Let's make that that thing. I mean, that is what we get. What else do I want? Oh wait, yeah. No. We also want to have. We want to know what the server is. That was the whole problem. in other words, I don't know yet. But probably not just that type. So this thing should be the base class. So we have access to the request. And then the event type passed here is something including the data. So normally this would be the event type, right? So maybe something like this. So this is the namespace W event type, Wayland event type, for the events of Wayland. Now what? Error. No matching member function called the request. Candidate function not viable. No known conversion from void const my event type reference to standard function. Oh, okay. Well, of course that should have worked. Well, the reason it's not working is because the argument is not matching. I think this is the one that should have taken the free function as a callback, but that then demands that it takes a const reference, and apparently I'm trying to pass something that takes a const reference but of a different type. Would be nice if it told me what type is. It used to do that. Just says type, nothing else. Type is what is passed to server. Oh shit. Or maybe not shit. Maybe I should just change my callback. Don't really have my event type anymore. but can't print that anymore because event type stuff. I always forget how to do that. Event type, and then I want to print the data type. Print one. Yeah, I could use this. Let's see. For a single element, you can do this. Oh, now we need utils. Or did I already add that? Yep, already have that. Well, and it compiles. Amazing. So nothing is triggered because I didn't finish it. So let's reevaluate. I'm now having my XYZ signal server specifically for this event, for this signal. And I'm adding a request for a callback to that server. And we clean it up. And somewhere in the middle between register of requesting that and cleaning up, we trigger the Wayland event. XYZ event. Passing some random data which I don't have control over. XYZ type. And the reason my XYZ signal service should be aware of that is because I pass that same event here. And then it should pick up this call, of course. And that is being done normally by calling that. So the server should be doing this, but it can't until that happens. Okay, now I have a problem. That means I would also have to do a delayed initialization. Yeah, maybe this is too I don't know. So I assume that this init already happened before we do the constructor. Kind of feels reasonable. What exactly does that signal init do? I mean, I could do it from the constructor even. But I only want to do it once. Yeah, it initializes the list. See, yeah, that won't work. I guess we can do both. That is, I add an init. And I want to pass an init that is initialized. So I'm just passing the XYZ event to init. And that then would belong to a default constructor, simple. But that would be a just in case, because I also will have a constructor that you could pass this to, which then calls the init, and then you should not call it from here. So this thing should assert if you use this constructor, because then you initialize it twice, which is weird. Or yeah, I don't know. Just the other thing just belongs to the default constructor. So now my XYZ signal server type must have a default constructor and an init function that is being passed, the same thing as I pass currently to the constructor. So that would be this one, signal server. We want to have a default constructor then. Then we can't have a reference anymore. Ha ha ha. This is not initializing anything anyway, right? Okay, I'll do it like this anyway. So the default constructor just uses this initialization, which means that the pointer is null. And if you pass a reference, then we initialize it with the pointer to whatever you pass. Or maybe let's just, I mean, this is the W signal thing is normally always passed as a pointer anyway. So just do it like that. Here as well. And by the way, it's not a reference anymore now. And now we want to have an init. And the init also takes that thing. So I don't need to do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna call init here. So now we can do what we wanted to do here. We have the signal server, and what we need is register ourselves with the Wayland signal server. Right. Okay, so I need to add a callback here. It has to be free function, so it could be some static function. Let me just call it callback for now. Let's see, so I need to implement that callback. What the hell is the signature of that? There was a WL listener. The void pointer data. And then we must be able to convert this listener pointer to the signal server. Which is only possible officially if, well, maybe it is possible actually by container auth in this case. Because this thing does not contain anything else, although we do have a weird base class. Yeah, that won't work. That won't work. Maybe we can just derive from the listener. Instead of put the listener up front even. That doesn't matter much, I guess. If I make it the listener a base class, then I can just use a static cast to go there. I think that's the only clean way to do it. I don't want to derive directly from the WL listener though. Maybe wrap it in something and then derive from that. Or private. Do I ever want to derive from this signal server? Well, you never know. But then I should make this private also protected. Yeah. Well, no. I mean, the signal server can serve any number of clients. But this thing registers itself with this signal just once, yeah. And then maybe it's split up again to multiple clients. I'm gonna make this a struct. I don't want to put stuff into it. No, because it is C. This is what I'm doing is trying to hook up the horrible C interface that I have with a real C++ interface. So this is the callback. Let's just add debug output for now. Yeah, or I can use the default constructor here, and I'll just use this init here. So that is called now. Wait a minute. I had this open here, and this one should be editing that one. So we enter this callback if it is triggered, and then what I really want to do is trigger the real server, this event server, with the same data. How to do that? Oh yeah, I just pass it. So now I call trigger data. Cross fingers. Is that going to work? It's more complex than that. I have to cast my stuff as well. The trigger must have the data passed. Yes, but it could also be just constructed from it. Yes, event slip is my thingy. So it has an event type data, and that's what we have to pass. And that is not, this is data if I cast it. So for a start, we now know what data is. So I can do data pointer. Call this data pointer, whatever. Call this data is reinterpret cast data pointer of data pointer. But then I have to construct an event type of data. And then pass that event data as a reference to the trigger. And this event type is defined here. It's completely empty. So that needs a void pointer then again, or now I'll know not a void pointer. Now I just want to have a data pointer, of course. Cannot imagine that this just should not be a const pointer really. An event happens. Okay, information. This is the data. Doesn't make sense in my eyes to even attempt to change that. So I'm definitely going to make this a const pointer. And of course you need a constructor of the thing. Let's say constructed from data. assign. Here. There's a Wayland API. Wayland requires that you use a free function with a fixed signature and assign that the function pointer to notify. Eventually I'm going to need what they described in the documentation of Wayland, and I can never find it back, of course, unless it's still here. No. What about this? Wayland protocol? No, totally not. It has to do with Wayland signal. Oh, wait a minute. I did not find it online. I found it in a source somewhere. Notify is just a function pointer with a fixed signature. Where did I find a description of the Wayland signal stuff? Yeah, that's what I was looking for. If the listener is part of a larger struct, container of can be used to retrieve a pointer to it. So what are we doing? Pass the listener and the data. Okay, I'm so lost. I looked at this before. I think I deleted that again in the meantime, unfortunately. You can do that here. It is normal. And then type of sample. I think then sample must be a pointer to the larger struct. Pointer? No, it's sample of that. And the larger struct here is, oh wait a minute, sample. And that is data here. Yeah, that's a fuck. No! Okay, you remember name. I can do that one. The member name is... We're talking about this struct now here. That is listener. And listener must be this thing. So this pointer is a pointer to this listener. And data must be a pointer to the signal server listener, which is the base class of the current object. So I can do static cast this signal server listener. And that then returns, I think, a signal server listener pointer. How is this? This is not helping me at all. Not even a bit. Ach. It does, because this is a static function. Yeah, we need self. So now we can get a self pointer. Static cast base. And then we can call trigger. Otherwise you couldn't even call trigger. But it worked. No, it didn't work. That was the previous thing. Error. Oh, I don't have this. I don't have this here. It's only used for the type of, I think. So, or the size of even. Type of, size of, what was it? Type of. Help me, Kotaro. My memory is failing fast, hard, worse every day, as it were. How do you make a temporary object of a certain type? Declaration type it was. So I can't search for it now. Declaration type. I need examples. Damn it. Declaration var, yeah. It also doesn't work. See whether something exists. No underscore. No underscore. Yeah, declaration value. You are close. Closer than me. Standard declaration value of type. It's apparently needs a header. Declaration val utility. Undeclared identifier event data. Yes, element type. No member named one shot in event type. This is what I searched, what I was looking for before. Describes how this works. Yeah, I need my example. Example here. Examples, readme. It's also not an example. Test. One shot. And what does it mean if it is true? Probably I don't want it to be true, right? It's a private member. And it compiles. Wow. Signal server. Looks like it's cold. Okay, so the listener is now part of the server, and this was added by the server as well. It kind of should be finished now, shouldn't it? Except that we are adding a handle before we initialize the thing, but it's not a problem apparently. Okay, now I still want to print this thing, of course. So this event is the type of that event is the XYZ signal server type event type, which is declared here. This event type that has a print on, and I want to print stuffs. It's not much printing. You can print data, and then maybe I can print data itself. I can just attempt to print it, whatever data is pointing to. Why is it defined here? Let's move that closer to the class. I think I'm going to steal my print stuff from Linux viewer. I added something that was pretty powerful to print pointers, and then it would also print what the pointer is pointing to. Or should I just not do that? But in the end, it could be nice to have. Kind of, I think. Let's have a look at it. How was that? Something with print, of course. Pointer. Yes. So we can just copy this. No documentation. So that would automatically, if you try to print a pointer, well, you have to call a print pointer then. If we put print pointer around it. So I do print pointer with a pointer, which then returns print pointer, which then is printed by this thing, which then says, oh, the pointer is not null. And we even get a custom IO manipulator to either print the contents of the pointer or just print the value of it. I should just put this to add this to CWDS, I think. Either that or utils. Might as well add it to utils. Yep, so let's add print pointer.h, exactly like that, to utils. And then I'm going to do here print pointer. This can be deleted. Where is my IO manipulator then? Or you just have to pass this? Yeah. No. Well, or this is an example. I don't know. Oh no, that is just internal to stop recursion. So there is no custom stuff. Nah, okay. It's you have mind as were. What the hell? I just committed something to a detached head. I just moved the master away, so that just didn't help much, but I'm gonna assume that it was in sync with remote. Okay, switch master. Really? How the hell did I check this thing out? This should never happen. So weird. Like, how the hell did this happen? So before ChatGTP, there was autogen.sh written by me. If I run that, it fixes my mess. But how did it become such a mess in the first place? And yeah, you can see I fixed it that now it's printing a lot better configuration instructions than what I had before. I set it at the end of a stream somewhere and then did that offline. Okay, then we have that, and I added it already, so it should compile. No, it doesn't. The very idea. Okay, that makes sense. You can't print that because you can't print that. And then officially we should add it. You should have the ability to print absolutely everything, including this type of shit, while it is extern C. It was an XYZ, wasn't it? So now it prints it as entering my callback. And then you see that data is a pointer to something that has the member magic with the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the actual value of data is this. That's what it points to. Yeah, I think this works then, right? Now, doesn't it? But I think there was one thing that I did not address, apart from going to the shop and buy food, because I'm completely out of it. The real problem was that if also in test, why? Oh no, never mind. I added this thing here now. But not sure I want to use that, or do I? Totally not implemented. Okay, the problem is I want new input to be called. I wanted to be called with an wlr input device pointer. I'm not so sure anymore if that's sufficient. All right, no, of course, no problem. Yeah, before, so they used like, so there's an older example of a callback. And what I used to do is I just pass a void pointer instead of the actual type. And just a pointer to the member of my class, which then mysteriously turns out to be a tiny WL server pointer. And then I use W container off to cast that back to this thing, but that is not possible in C++ because I don't want to have just the POD types everywhere. But then it turns out that the server that they are getting here, and which I can't get, is only being used it's actually not true. They are using it for several things here. But okay, my solution was, because it still works then, my solution is to make this a member function of whatever they want to cast that to. And I think that should be solved now as well, because I can just register this member function. I mean, I did register a free function, but I can register a member function as well. And that then should work, right? But it would still, it still has to call it with that thing. But okay, that would be dependent on this type function of the event server. Yeah, I think everything is solved basically. Let's add it to the test, however. So I'm gonna have some kind of a server-ish object, and I want to call the member function of that. Can do some cleanup here as well, I think. Since I want this to be called, but yeah. Let's just use the XYZ thing. Hello, Ginger. External trigger happening. This must be initialized. And how is this working? I want to call this member function on this server. Need examples. This looks like a member function. Should turn events on, I guess, while doing this. I have a reference to a client and a client member function. And then probably without busy interface. So here. And then no arguments, I can just pass nothing. Still, an example would be nice. It's a gimbal that it is this. I don't know. undeclared identifier XYZ signal server. It's just called server. No, it's not. Server dot new input requests. Use of undeclared again. This is not that thing. No member name new input in signal server. I did new input twice. That is not very smart. It compiled. And you know me, if it compiles, then it works. If you can find back, no, it's just not existing. Yeah, calls the member function. The member function of the tinywl server, new inputs, is called with the correct data. Okay. Let's do a cleanup and then I'm gonna go buy food for Carlo. Clean up. I think this is no longer used. I cannot believe that this would be called. Neither is this. No, almost fits on one page. Yeah, that was a nice progress because, well, it's kind of finished. You still have to incorporate, what is it? Integrate this into the tinywl.cpp. And maybe I should rename it indeed to listener instead of what it is now. I mean, I'm gonna replace all these listeners with this. It's slightly confusing to call it a server, but it is both, I guess. It listens for the Wayland events and then it serves an arbitrary C++ clients. But yeah, I mean, to call it a listener server, meh. So let's just go with listener because that's what it's going to be replaced. Every time I see a WL listener, then I just use a WL listener. Right? Makes sense. So this listener is really then the going to have to be rather the name of the thing. Maybe we can do that already. So this it's a thing that is depends now on the type. I can still call it listener though. Let's put the thing up front. If I call a listener, then maybe that's the most important thing. Because this thing is only a base class because I don't want to redefine all those request members. It's maybe kind of ugly, but no. I must say there is a lot of improvement possible there for C++. Something with interfaces and inheriting interfaces without having to redefine stuff. Definitely. Nobody's listening to me, so I'm not even going to try. So I was renaming that thing to listener. I still have to deal with cancelling. So now currently this adds a signal to the C interface, but I never remove it again. Yeah, I'm gonna buy food first. Damn it. Okay. I'll be back later.